In a world that's full of changes right now, there are a few trailblazers, paradigm shifters, and guiding lights. If you feel a magnetic pull, a profound desire to change the world, you may have a calling on your soul to help awaken humanity. You may be one of the Indigo Children. It may be your destiny to help others awaken to their own spiritual journey, or maybe you have a close friend or family member who's trying to make sense of their life purpose, and this is something that they maybe hadn't considered. In this video, I'll show you the common traits of an indigo child, from a deep need to expose the truth and deception that could hurt others, to the free thinker, to the abilities as a change maker. Oh, this is going to be good. This podcast is all about helping you with your spiritual growth so you can overcome obstacles and manifest your destiny to crystallize all things good, basically, to have success on life's journey. It's all about getting unstuck by unlocking your hidden power. So let's get started. Hi there and welcome. My name is Remy, like Do Re Mi. I'm a best-selling author and creator of the Get Unstuck Revolution. I help extraordinary women just like you dissolve the obstacles in your path so you can bring success to you. Now let's get started with today's video. Okay, let me jump off the screen here and switch to my laptop. All right, today we're talking about awakening humanity. Light subject, right? We've been seeing so many global changes in recent years, asking us to step up to who we really are, that this subject is hard to ignore. There are so many of us who are drawn to spirituality over religion. We struggle with boredom because we have such an inquisitive mind. We have high expectations for ourselves and those around us, not sure how in the world so many people are so willing to be sheep, part of the herd, unwilling to wake up and see the light for a better existence. And we sigh and we think, why can't they wake up and see there's more? There is a path off the hamster wheel of just going through the everyday emotions. There is a path to success on this odyssey that we call life. If you'd like to see success in full abundance along life's journey, and if you're wanting to tap into a greater knowingness and align with the higher consciousness of your infinite self instead of the lower ego thinking and negative thoughts that push success away, then this is for you. It's time to be unabashedly, unapologetically, happily untethered to ego thinking. It's time to align with the higher energies of our soul's path instead. Today's episode is for you if you wonder, what is an indigo child? Will the indigo children awaken humanity? And if so, how? And how would I know if I'm an indigo? Yes, these episodes are about how to find your hidden power when you want to transform challenges into successes. I like to call it the audacity of alchemy. Because when we're feeling stuck, when we just aren't sure what's happening, it's never our situation that has us stuck. It's our energy that's confused, that's become stuck in anxiety, overwhelm, doubts, worries, frustration, indecision. And often this is because of a spiritual injury that we've experienced, something that's blinded us, some kind of hidden trauma. So it isn't the pain of our situation, it's the pain of not being connected into the natural energy of who we really are, of being connected to that magical part of us that's a creative vibrational being who can use positive energies to create what we want and bring it into physical manifestation. We can allow our manifestations to materialize and not get stuck in the negative vibrations that block them. These positive energies that we talk about so much here are where we find the magic of alchemy. Because our choice of frequency, our choice of those positive thoughts and emotions can change the course of our journey. And today we're talking about the journey of indigo children. In a world that's so full of changes right now, there are trendsetters and groundbreakers and light workers and revolutionaries all around us. If you feel a compelling pull, a profound desire to change our world, you may have a calling that's been placed on your soul to help awaken humanity. You may be one of the indigo children. It may be your destiny to help others awaken to their own spiritual journey, or maybe you have a close friend or a family member who fits into this. So today we're talking about the common traits of an indigo child, and it may answer questions that you've had for years, even about your own life purpose. So let's start with this. What is an indigo child? This term originated back in the 1970s with a parapsychologist by the name of by the name of Nancy Ann Tapp. Tappe, Nancy Ann Tapp. An indigo child is someone who's destined to create change in the world so as to awaken humanity. But wait, haven't there been people throughout time whose mission and purpose was to inspire change and growth in our world? To uplevel the human condition, to help society progress? Were they all indigo children? Well, that's why we're going to talk about some of the common traits of indigo children, because if you're like me, you may wonder if this is what's wrong with you, or should I say, what's very right with you. Sometimes we don't know when we're looking for our life's purpose. All right. Over the years, a lot of people have misunderstood the indigo child, labeling them with some psychiatric condition, misunderstanding or rejecting them, or even medicating them. And this is a shame to numb or quieten a child or a person who has such an intuitive and inquisitive nature. I know that for me, my mom used to ask me almost daily, "Why are you so stupid?" Yes, these words burned me to my core, but she simply couldn't understand why I questioned everything instead of just listening and conforming to her ways and to the ways of society. I was constantly punished. And so this leads us to the number one trait of an indigo child. We are truth seekers. If we are an indigo child, we are free thinkers, and that's an understatement. We question everything, but we have such an insight into what's right in front of us, things that would fly by others. We can see the truth clearly, and this makes a lot of people uncomfortable. And this seems to be our primary role in life, and that is to expose truth and deception. We can see through half truths and things that just don't add up, and we want to pull the string on that. Bringing the truth to light seems to be coded into our DNA, not necessarily for the sake of justice, but because lies harm others' survival. We just want the truth to be on the table. We don't like people who hide. We don't like people who deflect. We don't like people who blame. We just want an honest conversation. We're obsessed with getting to the truth with a capital T, whether it's one situation or the questions that we have, the big questions for the universe. And while we're naturally peacemakers, we're also ruthless about getting to the heart of the matter. Okay, then, that was number one. We are truth seekers. Here comes the second trait of an indigo. Well, we've already said it. We want to change the world. If we are an indigo child, we feel this profound desire right to our core to change the world, but not to change it with the next cool coffee maker or the next cool motivational program. We're changing paradigms. We're changing the way people think. We're creating an arc of self discovery for others. We want to restructure a person's ability to understand universal laws and give them peace from their own negative ego thinking. We want to help silence the perpetual dialogue running through their mind by posing questions that take them beyond logic. Yes, this is mighty uncomfortable for a lot of people. Maybe you've even had this experience, but if we can help others to awaken, then collectively we can all see changes to this world. We are the catalysts. We want to change the world. All right, here comes the third trait of an indigo. We are strong willed. If we are an indigo child, we're willing to do whatever it takes. We're persistent. We have tenacity. I mean, we just don't give up. You may have seen Mike Bayer's new book called The One Decision. The premise is that we're just one decision away from changing our lives, and we keep going no matter what. You've heard the saying, if you want something done, give it to a busy person. I'd say give it to an indigo child if you want something done. We are strong willed. We know what we want. We know how to get there. We know how things should be. And we persistently do whatever it takes to get there. We are strong willed. Okay, here comes the fourth trait of an indigo. We are spiritual warriors. If we are an indigo child, we have a warrior living inside us. It isn't that we're difficult, that's not the idea at all. And we aren't bullies. We're spiritual warriors fighting for what's right and fighting for progress. Now, while my mom used to accuse me that if she said white, I was going to say black just to argue with her, but that was part of me questioning everything and not conforming to anything. It used to make her crazy. And I think I've probably mentioned before about the last day I ever got a spanking. When she told me to go to my room and think about what I'd done, I truly didn't see the sense in that. So instead, I put on every pair of underwear that I owned and waited for my spanking. And when my appointed hour of torture came, I didn't cry a single tear. Couldn't feel a thing. She pushed me away and said I'd gotten too old for spankings. But for me, I just wasn't willing to conform. I was a healthy contrarian. I was fighting for what's right. And for me, my world didn't include spankings. I knew I was gearing up to awaken humanity, even at a small age. I had work to do, even at that young age. And so we're spiritual warriors. All right, here comes the number 5 trait of an indigo. We lean toward existential angst. Existential meaning it relates to our existence. I love this one. If we're an indigo child, we're subject to negative feelings when we think about the experience of human freedoms and responsibilities. This is sometimes triggered by some kind of trauma, especially if we witness something we'd call senseless. This is sort of in the same camp as empathy, this idea of the existential angst. Now, I don't know if you ever saw the movie called Powder. It might have been in the 70s, maybe the 80s, but this young man laid with a deer in the middle of the road who'd been hit by a car. He could feel her crying, and he held her as she died. As an empath, boy, I almost couldn't even make it through that scene. But it went beyond that. I thought of hunters and drivers and people who speed and did the deer have babies that were now abandoned. As these thoughts were around the existence of humans and our animal friends, well, this is who we are as indigos. We ask all the why questions like, why are we here? Why is there suffering? Why does it have to be this way? Is there a purpose to all this? And what's my purpose? And from there, it triggers our desire for helping to awaken people. We don't necessarily fall into depression, maybe yes, maybe no, but for us as indigo children, we find our inner motivation as we look at our existence on this planet, not just for ourselves, but for others. Our inquisitive nature and our deep philosophical questions bring us to a place where we lose interest in the ordinary, meaningless tasks that seem to distract so much of humanity. Boy, okay, that was a juicy one. Existential angst, but that's kind of the life of an indigo child. All right, still with me? Let's keep going. Here's the number 6 trait of an indigo. We are leaders. If we are an indigo child, we've always been the leader. We find it difficult to work in teams, not that we aren't willing, because we are. We are team players, that's for sure. But when nobody else on the team seems to have our work ethic, our motivation, our strategies, our vision, our ability to see the goal and what we're working for, well, that's frustrating. Yes, we can be bossy, but it's always for the overall betterment of whatever we're working toward. We understand the path. We know where we're going. We may also struggle with obeying authority, especially if the authority figure is just being flat out stupid or senseless or illogical. We want things to be bigger, better, stronger, brighter, deeper, wiser. But if we're given a team who can't get on board with us, oh, we'll struggle with that for the same reason we struggle with authority. We are change makers, and there's just no time to be off course. We know the way, and so we make excellent leaders. And this leads us to the final and the number 7 trait of an indigo. And well, this is not the last trait because if you research this on the internet, you'll find even more traits of an indigo than what we're covering here. I'm just kind of giving you some of the highlights. And number 7, we are compassionate. If we are an indigo child, we're often empaths. As I mentioned earlier, we care so much about another's spiritual growth, it literally hurts. I remember reading a book one day that we sometimes go in these 76,000 year cycles here in the Earth school. Now, I'm not saying that that's true or untrue, by the way. It's just a theory that sometimes we cycle through 76,000 year growth patterns when we come to the Earth school. So I'd met someone who was stuck in his pattern, stuck in one karmic relationship after another, doing one hurtful thing after another. And those are the moments where it pains me. It's compassion that I feel for another person, so much compassion about their spiritual growth, where they're tripping, how they're hurting other people. It literally hurts me as an indigo child because my first thought when I see someone stuck in their patterns and hurting other people because of their own damage, well, my first thought is usually, oh no, you've just cost yourself another 76,000 years on this planet. Now, I'm not talking literally. It's just that we have such compassion for others that when we see them go into self destruct, we see them go into a tailspin, we feel both sorrow and anger. We feel it deeply. We wish that we could just do a software upgrade on their brain and instantly feed them information about spiritual awakening and how to make their path easier. That's the compassion within us. We don't like to see people stuck in their own patterns. We are compassionate. Our work isn't easy, but if we stay grounded, and I'm going to give you 5 tips right here. If we stay grounded, if we practice meditation, that's one. If we can express ourselves creatively, that's two. If we'll spend time in nature to unwind, that's three, then we can regain our balance as indigos. And along with that, here comes number four, we might even familiarize ourselves with the spiritual awakening process, not just for us, but for those around us that need our help. And this is how we can stay grounded and stay in balance. You know, I've been seeing so many people struggle in recent years, and these struggles are asking us to step up to who we really are, to grow into who we're meant to be. And there are so many who are beginning to awaken, who are becoming more and more willing to see the light toward a better existence. It kind of reminds me of the movie The Matrix, which I got to watch again. Oh, it might have been last week or the week before. Neo was learning to bend spoons and see that anything is possible, even in the physical world where it seems impossible. But his lifetime of conditioning kept him back. It kept his belief in who he really was from truly taking root. Logic implies that we have to follow certain parameters. But do we really have to follow this logic? Neo had to let go of what he was so sure about so that he could finally step up to what was possible. He had to move beyond his own disbeliefs so that he could truly become the person he was destined to be. And so, whether we're indigo children or not, in our everyday lives, we look at all the things we need to get done. Go for that promotion at work, or grow our business, do our marketing, get more visible on social media. Oh, and don't forget groceries and taking the kids wherever they need to go. So, what do we see in all this in our everyday life? Well, we tend to see obstacles. We tend to just focus on the obstacles. And when we see something as an obstacle, we automatically see a barrier that we have to overcome. But if we're an indigo, we often see something much more than the obstacles and barriers. We awaken to the possibilities. We seek the truth. We're looking at overcoming those common beliefs of the common man. We're looking at creating a more joyful existence. We're looking for the blessings. We're looking at higher and better thoughts. How can we have more love and happiness than we've ever known? We see that we have an ability to take any experience, and while one person might see it as disempowering, we look at how we can empower others around us. That's what we do as indigos. Make sense? Well, I hope that you'll jump on the internet and Google what are the traits of an indigo child, not just for you, in case you are resonating with today's topic, but you may know someone who's an indigo and they're struggling. Knowing the traits of who we are and who we're meant to be, well, it can be life changing as we empower ourselves towards self expression and who we are at our core without the negative thoughts and emotions that can drain us. We're choosing a higher frequency, higher and better thoughts, because our choice of frequency, our choice of more positive emotions, changes the course of our journey. So, reflecting back on everything we covered today, how can you apply what you've learned? Are you strong willed and passionate? Do you have a deeply philosophical outlook on life? Do you have a deeply philosophical outlook on life? I tripped over that word. Are you a free thinker, a nonconformist? Are you a perceptive, an intuitive? Do you have a profound desire to change the world? Are you idealistic, reaching for the highest and best you can do for our world? Are you highly creative, struggling with boredom at times because you just have a sharp, inquisitive mind? And above all else, are you just borderline obsessive with uncovering truth? Then you might be an indigo child ready to transform the world. Well, I hope this helps you as you're using the powers of alchemy to transform challenges and obstacles into positive new successes. This podcast is all about helping you have success on your spiritual growth journey. It's all about getting unstuck by unlocking your hidden power. If you're still in a quandary, though, and can't get your head around what's got you stuck, you can tell me about it. You can send me a question to questions at unlockyourhiddenpower.com, or you may not know that you can schedule a one on one session with your own personal unstuckologist, that's me, by visiting instantbreakthroughsession.com. This private session is designed to help you tap into your greatest resource, that's you, and together we can make quite a team toward calling in the transformational powers of alchemy. And our time together will uncover your single biggest stuck point, that one that you maybe can't see. And we'll also go over the most genius way to create clarity so you can just move forward while one obstacle after another is obliterated. And we'll create a strategy to get you moving in a really good direction, the one that's aligned with your life purpose. If this sounds like a match made in heaven, you can hop on over to instantbreakthroughsession.com right now and book the time slot that works best for you. Well, thanks for joining me today, and I'm wishing you a life filled with all the alchemy you need to bring success to you. Feel free to share this video with anyone you know who's feeling stuck, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.